Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to another live training. I am your host, Coach Molly, and welcome back. Thank you again for spending another moment of your time with me and pushing yourself forward. It's so important that you take time out of your day, out of your week to push yourself to grow, to learn, no matter how old you are, no matter if you're in school or you're in work or you're starting your own business, no matter what, don't let any barriers get in your way. Always carve out that time to learn, to grow, and to push yourself forward. So, welcome to today's live training. So, before we get started, I have a new intro. Check it out. Ah, hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, I just threw that one together. So today we are going to be jumping into the Productive Entrepreneur course. We're going, it kind of like goes hand in hand with what we talked about last week in the flow state. So you can piece these courses together. You can learn tons and tons. You can get a ton done. Yeah, so now I have a little announcement before we start. I am officially on Twitter. You can now connect with me. I don't really know how to tweet or anything like that, so hit me up, connect with me, help me figure this all out. You can also find me on all of these other platforms here. Our live streams, our quotes of the day. We love connecting with all of you at all times, whenever that's all possible. All right, enough rambling from me. Why don't we just jump right in to today's course, and we are talking about the productive entrepreneur. So, welcome to this workshop on the productive entrepreneur, where we will be discovering the secrets to getting everything done. All right, how about we get started? Ooh. All right, I'm going to disappear for a bit. You guys can focus on the screen and enjoy. Every entrepreneur wants to be productive, obviously. It feels good to look at something in a tangible way and say, I created this. I made this. I did this. To get things done, we have to be able to check things off of a list to make a serious dent in our checklists. Productivity looks different to different people, but the feeling is pretty universal across the board. For one person, creating an incredible presentation or a meeting is what need sorry, for one person, creating an incredible presentation or meeting is what meets the needs of a specific client, can make them feel amazing. And for another person, it may be developing a new product or coming up with a new design. For you, it may be completely different, but you know the good feeling that you get at the end of a productive day when you put in all of that hard work. Productivity encourages a true sense of purpose in each of us. It offers a deep feeling of accomplishment that's important to a happy and a fulfilled life. Being productive also gives you the freedom to spend more time with the ones you love and less time worrying about the things that are left unfinished. If you're looking for that state of purpose and happiness that can come from being productive, this workshop can help you focus on the things that will get you there. Are you ready? Well, let's dive in. The battle for productivity. That's where we'll start with this one. Productivity isn't always easy. There are so many things that can cause your productivity to falter and even come to a complete stop. As an entrepreneur, you're consistently battling 1,000 distractions that can block creativity and derail a productive morning, afternoon, or evening. And these distractions may stem from your personal life, or they may be entirely work related. All day long, you're receiving notifications, texts, Slack messages, emails, social media pings, calls, maybe even your kids are knocking on your door, and so much more. Just as you push in to start getting to important matters, your phone will ring. It's a new message that you feel like you should probably check. You look at your phone and then the next thing you know, 45 minutes has passed. You've been sucked into the black hole that is social media. And even if you're able to set aside distractions, you may still feel like you're not really accomplishing anything. Like you're sifting through sand and you're unable to move those big boulders that will actually get you those massive actions that will move you forward in meaningful ways. You're busy. You answer a lot of emails, you reply to all of your text messages, and you message a lot of people on Slack, but still come away each day feeling like you didn't accomplish what you wanted to. You're not productive. You're getting things done, but you're not getting the right things done. Have you ever felt like you're working really hard, but you're not really getting anywhere? You go to bed exhausted, you wake up exhausted, but you don't feel like you have anything to show for it? You know there has to be a better way, but you just don't know where to start. Lucky for you, in this workshop, you'll discover the 4 pillars of productivity. These 4 pillars will help you achieve the sense of accomplishment that you've really been striving for. Instead of going to bed feeling defeated at the end of the day, with piles of work still sitting on the table, your head full of all of the to-do lists that you haven't accomplished in that day, you can now go to bed knowing that you're done, that you've done enough for the day. You've put in the work, and you can be fulfilled in what you have accomplished and completed in that day. So let's dive into those 4 pillars of productivity. The first pillar are systems over goals. Oh, I know I talk a lot about SMART goals and I talk a lot about goals, but so you've probably been told that in order to be productive, you should set goals. Big goals, SMART goals, stretch goals. The thinking goes that in order to achieve anything meaningful, you need to turn it into a goal. Well, maybe. While goals can be really helpful, they aren't always ideal. They aren't always the best choice for each situation. There's a big issue inherent with the whole goal setting process to begin with. Goals have a distinct termination point. They have an end. They are short term. When you're looking for long-term productivity, you need to start looking at more systematic approach. In other words, if you're not successful, you're not going to be successful until you've actually reached your goal. And until you've reached the goal, you might feel like a failure. Measuring success in this way can make you feel defeated, especially if you have big, ambitious goals. For example, if you want to own your own Fortune 500 company one day, nothing you do until you reach that goal will make you feel like you're succeeding. You may be making incredible strides in your business, but you will always feel like you're falling flat compared to your hardest to achieve goal. Since goals have an end, you never really feel like a success until you've actually achieved that end, until you've reached that point. And even when you achieve your goal, you simply have to start all over again with the next goal. And the reality is you might not even know what the next goal should be in the first place. So if you feel aimless and you end up wandering and you end up feeling deflated and you lose that motivation, you know you should be seeking to accomplish something, but you're not sure what that something should be. Even worse, since you already accomplished your goal, you may go back to your old habits instead of pushing and growing. You lose all that forward progress that you've made. Do you see how the regular goal process can make you feel like a consistent failure? Well, here's a better way, I promise. Start using systems. The power of systems. Effective systems ensure that you reach the end result without letting you enjoy the achievements along the way. Using a system doesn't mean that you have no goals. It just means that you start to focus more on the process than the final destination. Systems will allow you to make progress on your goals every single day, no matter how you're feeling when you get up that morning, no matter how much energy you have that day, or how much time you have to devote to what is important to you. Systems will also allow you to guarantee your success by building on what you have accomplished before. Systems will also help you reach your milestones, or what we formerly would have considered the ends of our goals. And systems will also allow you to avoid the feeling that you're just spinning your wheels and you're just kind of treading water and you're not really moving forward in any kind of meaningful way. The difference between systems and goals, you might be asking? Well, it's a little like this. Losing 10 pounds may be a goal. Well, the system is learning to eat right in the first place. Here's another example. Suppose your goal is to clean the house from top to bottom. You spent the whole day cleaning and you momentarily feel satisfied with what you've done. However, if you have no system in place, your home will quickly go into disarray shortly thereafter. And after a few days, the dishes will overwhelm the sink, the laundry will pile up, and the floors will be a mess. A system, on the other hand, would be a cleaning routine. Instead of cleaning the entire house in one day, you train yourself to do small tasks each day. The result is a house that is tidy for more than a few hours. Here's a business example. Your goal is to generate $50,000 in revenue over the next 2 months. Your system is that every morning you'll make 3 cold calls, or however many is necessary, to potential new customers. You'll have a system that will enable you to take baby steps every single day to grow in the progress you've already made. The system ensures that you reach your end result. Using a system doesn't mean that you have no goals. It just means that you start to focus more on the process than that final destination. The more challenges with the goal process are resolved by systems. You've probably been told your whole life to set lofty goals and to work really hard to achieve them. On the face, there's nothing wrong with having goals. Goals can be inspiring, they can be motivating, and they can challenge us. They give us something to look forward to and a reason to continue striving. But goals can be rigid and unmoving. So let's imagine you've set a firm goal for your company. You would like to make X amount of sales by a certain date. And you really, really hustle to make those sales. You push your employees to do the same. You make a lot of sales in that time frame. But what happens when you don't reach your goal amount? Well, chances are you feel like a failure. All the sales that you did make won't bring you joy because you didn't sell enough. You'll feel unproductive and you may even feel like you want to quit. What's really unfortunate about this scenario is you may also have missed many, many opportunities along the way. Being overly focused on a distant goal can give you tunnel vision. For example, in the last scenario, your determination to complete a singular goal may have kept you from taking the time to develop a new product that could have brought in twice as much revenue. Goals limit your threshold to happiness. With the goal process, you're so narrowed in on a future time that you aren't really happy until you hit that mark. And once you reach your goal, the feeling of happiness will likely quickly fade. You'll then feel the need to achieve the next goal and then the next, and you're continually chasing something that is, at best, fleeting. Productivity expert James Clear has also written extensively about systems versus goals. And in his book called Atomic Habits, he explains, when you fall in love with the process or the system rather than the product, you don't have to wait to give yourself permission to be happy. You can be satisfied anytime your system is running. And a system can be successful in many different forms, not just in the one you first envision. With goals, you may also realize that once you've achieved a certain goal, you have nothing else to work towards. For example, let's suppose you set a personal goal to run a marathon. And in order to achieve your goal, you forced yourself to go to the gym 4 times a week. You went running even though you didn't feel like it. And you cut things out of your diet even though you really didn't want to. You worked really hard, but you didn't enjoy the process that got you there. Once you met your goal, you couldn't stand the thought of going back to that regimented schedule. And pretty soon you've abandoned your running routine and you've gone back to your former lifestyle. Your muscles soften and you put back on all of the weight. And you stand there looking at yourself and you can't even bear the thought of putting your running shoes on. So what went wrong? You were so focused on that goal, but the process to achieve it was unbearable. And while you start to set a goal to exercise 3 or 4 times a week on a rigid schedule, if you're not enjoying the exercise, there's a much higher risk that you're going to give up. You may do it for a short period of time, but in the long run, you will probably lack the willpower to continue because it still feels like a punishment. Instead of focusing on a single goal, use a positive, effective system for superior results, such as choose to be active every single day at a level that feels good. In this alternate scenario, you're training yourself that being active is positive. You're also you're going to get a psychological lift from the exercise, and you're slowly training your body and your mind to enjoy being active as opposed to hating it. You'll naturally want to challenge yourself as you continue to enjoy being more active. Your original activity level may start with short, slow walks, but you may eventually find that you're running as well. You'll do so because you want to, not because you were forcing yourself. So now you're used to moving and you're used to getting up and you're used to doing those things that were once you thought of as punishments, but now you're using them as an effective and positive system to accomplish those goals without much effort at all. Be right back, my friends. I have a phone call. Sorry about that. I'm back. So, where were we? How do systems help entrepreneurs? Well, first and foremost, systems are much more flexible than goals. If you have a type A personality, like some of us, this shift may feel a little more uncomfortable at first. It may feel like you're giving up control by not focusing so much energy on those future outcomes. First and foremost, systems are much more flexible than goals, as I just said. So ask yourself this: what happens when you shift your focus from a concrete goal to the process that gets you there? Does that mean that you're abandoning your goals and wandering aimlessly? The short answer is no. No, you're not. For example, you suppose that a sports coach chooses to focus on picking great players, developing incredible plays, and creating effective practice routines instead of just winning. What would be the result? Well, you'll probably end up with a winning team. In order for your business to be successful, it's vital to understand what is working and what isn't working in your process. What things in your system are working for you in your company, and what activities bring you the most profits? What activities aren't working for you, on the contrary? So, for example, what does your hiring process look like? Do you have strong employees that fit your company's vision? And if not, what practices can you change to acquire more beneficial employees? Employees that are going to be team players that are going to help push that narrative forward and push your goals forward with you. Question number 2 is to consider your marketing campaign and the system that drives it. Is that system working? What changes can you implement in your system to reach more customers, drive more business, and be more efficient in that process? So reaching the right customers and driving the right traffic at the most cost-effective manner. Now think about your products or services and the systems that you have in place to support them. What can you do to strengthen your product in the marketplace? How can you streamline the process and make things more efficient? Are your products or services testing well? And if not, what can you do to improve them? If you aren't testing your products and services and messages, you should start. These small day-to-day improvements will make you feel successful, fulfilled, and productive. Learning how to push through daily struggles will bring you confidence and happiness in a way that's hard to reach, that hard to reach goals will never give you. A system teaches you how to become better at what you do, and it greatly develops your skill level. If something isn't working well, you have the flexibility to change it and move on, to pivot when the world comes tumbling down, for example. You still have the skill that you developed, but now you can use it in a new direction. This, my friends, is the gift of having a system. The second pillar is that the early bird gets everything done. Rising early is one of the key things that most successful entrepreneurs do. I get up at 4 a.m., just saying. The early morning hours are one of the best times to tackle the most important tasks. Rising early allows you to accomplish great things before most of the world has even woken up. This means mind over mattress. This kind of thinking has been around for quite a while. You may even be familiar with Benjamin Franklin's quote, "Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." Consider the many successful entrepreneurs who are also early risers. You have Tim Cook, the CEO from Apple. He usually gets up 3:45 in the morning. Michael Gass, the CEO of Kohl's Department Stores, gets up at 4:30 to go for a run every morning. Former Pepsi CEO Indra Nooyi raises at 4 a.m. and is in the office by 7 a.m. And in 2012, she told Fortune magazine, they say sleep is a gift that God gives you. That one gift I was never given. Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey wakes up at 5:30 in the morning to meditate and go for a 6-mile jog. Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz is up at 4 a.m. and in the office by 6. Richard Branson, a businessman and entrepreneur behind Virgin Group of Companies, rises at 5:45 in the morning to work out and have breakfast. And there are so many more examples of early bird business machines. So what does science say about it? Do early risers really live happier, more productive lives? Well, here's what the research has to say about it. Night owls are more prone to negative thought patterns. In 2014, the Department of Psychology at Birmingham University completed a study that included 100 undergraduate students. Their study found that both people who get less sleep and those who delay sleep are prone to repetitive negative thinking, or RNTs. RNTs is a transdiagnostic disorder that can be observed in other disorders such as depression and anxiety. It's correlated with high levels of worry and negative thought patterns. Early risers, on the other hand, increase their chances of success. In 2010, Harvard Business Review released a study by biologist Christoph Radler about early risers and things about getting up nice and early. So 367 university students participated in his survey, and they were asked what times of the day they were most energetic. They were also asked how willing and able they were to take action or to change the situation to their advantage. The researcher reported a high percentage of the morning people agreed with statements that indicated productivity, such as, I spend time identifying long-range goals for myself, and I feel in charge of making things happen. A similar study was conducted in 2008 by Kendry Clay at the University of North Texas. The study focused on 824 undergraduate students who were enrolled in psychology classes at university. They were asked questions about their sleep habits and daytime functioning. The study found that students who preferred the morning had higher GPAs, and those who preferred the evening had lower GPAs. In all these studies, the clear conclusion is that early risers have a higher chance of success. Do you want to be an early riser and reap those kind of benefits? Well, if you do, try these tips. I have 7 ways for you to be an early riser. Rising early might sound like a really good plan, but it's not always as easy as it sounds. But thankfully, there are many things that you can do to jumpstart the day and ditch the bed. So tip number 1 is to get to bed earlier. Common sense, right? One of the easiest ways to get out of bed in the morning is to go to bed earlier the night before. Try going to bed an hour earlier and getting up 1 hour earlier to start. Or if that's too difficult, try half an hour or 15 minutes. Remember, we're building on the progress we made before. Some people are more prone to staying up late and sleeping in late, but sleep patterns can be modified. The late evening hours might feel like a good time to be productive, but the truth is you have a limited threshold of productivity in your day. The other truth is that your progress is going to stall at some point during the day. And the third truth is that your work is likely to get sloppy after that point. So instead, do your most productive work during the daytime hours and leave the evening for rest and time for family and friends. Then, after winding down from your workday in this fashion, you'll be better able to go to bed earlier, sleep well, and rise bright and early for the new day. My second tip for you is to turn off the screens. Well, yeah, I know, we live in a world of screens. You're watching them right now. Smartphones, tablets, computers, and televisions, we are surrounded by screens throughout our day. And these tools can be extremely helpful for business, and they can also affect your sleep. The National Sleep Foundation says that technology and screens can affect our sleep in 3 very big ways. They suppress melatonin, which is the hormone that controls your sleep and wake cycles. So it tricks your brain into thinking that there's more bright light out there. They can keep your brain active. And by keeping your brain engaged and active with TV or work, you're telling your brain that it's time to stay awake. Your alerts can wake you up at night, the alerts on your phones. So if you keep your mobile phone next to your bed, the sounds of emails, texts, and notifications can also begin to disturb your sleep. To prevent technology from disturbing your precious sleep, turn your screens off or put them away a few hours before you go to bed. Pick up a book. This will help your mind unwind and let you begin to get ready for sleep. While many people use their phones as an alarm clock, this creates a huge temptation to check your social media or to try and fit in a few more minutes of work late at night or first thing in the morning. Do yourself a favor and go buy an alarm clock. Charge your cell phone in another room and get rid of all of those nighttime distractions. My third tip for you is to create a sleep routine. Creating a sleep routine is advice that pediatricians recommend to parents that desperately want their babies and toddlers to go to bed at night. However, this idea is not limited to children. A sleep routine is an outstanding way for anyone to get the sleep they need. If possible, pick the same time to go to bed every night and the same time to wake up every morning. Your body will adjust to this schedule, and you may find that eventually you won't even need an alarm clock to wake up. The National Sleep Foundation suggests finding a relaxing routine activity away from bright lights, like reading. Try to avoid activities that can cause excitement or stress. If you need something to occupy your thoughts before bed, try reading a book instead of watching a movie. Reading is known for reducing stress and helping you get a good night's sleep. According to a study conducted by the cognitive neuropsychologist David Lewis, reading can reduce stress by up to 68%. Other things that you can include in your nighttime routine can include a warm, non-caffeinated drink, meditation or prayer, maybe a warm bath, breathing routines, or you can even use apps like Calm, which will help you unwind each night. My fourth tip for you is to get some exercise. Getting a good night's rest can be as easy as putting in some good exercise during the day. Some people like to start their days with their exercise, while other people like to do it later on in the day to really wear down their excess energy and help them move into a sleep pattern. Intense exercise is the most conductive for a good night's rest, but any level of activity is helpful, even just going for a walk. You don't have to go to a gym or work out. Going for an evening stroll, or playing with your kids or your pets in the backyard, or just enjoying sports games with your neighbors and your friends. These are all activities that can help you get moving. Exercise has been found to increase time spent in deep sleep, the best kind of sleep, the reparative kinds of sleep that our bodies and our minds really need. This improves the quality of your sleep, and it can help you end up sleeping longer. In addition, physical activity is known to reduce stress and anxiety, two things that can greatly affect your ability to fall asleep and to stay asleep. My fifth tip for you is to keep your alarm clock at a distance. If your number one difficulty is simply waking up in the morning, set your alarm clock out of reach. If you can't keep your hands off the snooze button, this will force you to literally get out of bed, walk across the room. And once you're up, ensure that you don't crawl back in under the covers. My sixth tip for you is to splash some cold water, because that can really do the trick. And if you're extra groggy in the morning, you can always try splashing cold water on your face. Or even try taking a shower with colder water than you're used to. I promise you that will wake you up. The cold water will help energize you and snap you into awake mode. I've spent a lot of time working at summer camps, and we wake up really, really early and go for morning dips usually. So like 6 o'clock in the morning as the sun's coming up, running into the lake, covering yourself with that ice cold water. It's so refreshing. It's an incredible way to get a jolt of energy before you're even down at the coffee machine. I promise it's 100 times more effective than any cup of coffee you could ever find. My seventh tip for you is to give yourself a reason to get up. Thinking of a compelling reason to get out of bed in the morning may be your strongest motivator for early rising. Your reason for getting up in the morning may vary from someone else's, but give yourself a good reason to wake up. Choose something that will be effective day after day. Knowing that you can be more productive early in the morning may be enough to get you out of bed and out of those warm blankets. But if not, maybe the thought of a tasty breakfast or a hot cup of coffee might be your reason for leaving your cozy covers. And now that you're out of bed and ready to go each morning, let's look at pillar number 3. Killing your distractions. You know the feeling, right? You've prepped yourself to buckle down and you start crossing things off your to-do list. It's a mile long. It keeps on growing. You're finally in the right mindset and you're ready to fly. You're completely geared up to knock out your list. You're 100% ready for that feeling of relief and satisfaction you'll have at the end of a full and productive day. And then the phone buzzes and it's a text message. And then your laptop dings with a new email. Your phone lights up with a new Slack message. Your employee walks into your office with an important question. Your kid comes knocking. Your phone rings. It's a non-work related call this time. You need a cup of coffee now. Now you have to use the bathroom. And you're starting to get hungry. Before you know it, the whole morning is blown and you don't really have anything to show for it. Unfortunately, distractions are one of the main killers of productivity. You have a lot of things coming at you, and many of them are keeping you from focusing on what truly matters. While you're busy with these distractions, you're not actually accomplishing anything. So here's how you can eliminate these distractions and get the most important stuff done. I have 5 tips to get you back on track. Tip number 1 is to make plans the night or the day before. Making plans the day before can be a really helpful trick when you're trying to stay focused for the following day. You don't have to plan everything out and make every decision, but make the choices about simple things that might be distractions during the day. For example, what you'll wear during the day, what lunch you'll eat, what way you'll get to work, those kinds of simple things. I like to even come up with my morning workout the night before so that I'm not thinking about it and wasting my time the next morning. When you're tired in the morning, these decisions will probably going to be harder, and they will make it they'll end up occupying a lot more of your thought process instead of the important stuff, the things we really want to use our energy for. And you can also set a rough schedule for yourself. For example, you may decide you won't check your email or answer your text messages until you've completed 2 important tasks. Or from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., you'll focus solely on one specific project. My second tip for you is to cut out social media. It's now estimated that people are spending 2 hours and 22 minutes a day on social media. That's a great stat if you're trying to reach customers, but it's a terrible one for productivity. Yes, social media can be a necessary resource for marketing and for sales, but consistently checking your personal notifications, taking all of the time to respond to your various rants, and endlessly scrolling through pictures on Instagram aren't going to help your business at all. So here are some strategies to help you manage your social media time. Set a schedule for when you go on social media. For example, 10 to 11 a.m. and 4 to 5 p.m. Use built-in tools like the iOS Screen Time or the Android Digital Wellbeing apps to monitor or restrict your social media use on your phone. Turn off all your non-business related notifications so that you're not feeling the consistent pull of dings distracting you. Use your business and social media accounts to engage with customers, tweet about your newest products, and make business posts. And after that, put your phone away and get to your other tasks. My third tip for you is to create boundaries for interruptions. In any given workday, you'll have a field of important calls. You'll have to. There may be some lines of communications that are necessary in your workday, but there are others that can be set aside. Give yourself periods during your day when you do not check your phone, your emails, or your Slack messages. Some entrepreneurs choose the early morning to return emails and engage with customers on social media. Others choose to focus on their list of tasks before creating new tasks introduced by outside messages. Choose the rhythm that works for you, but ensure that you stick to it. You need times of the day where you're not in consistent contact with outside interruptions. If possible, it's also a good plan to leave at least 1 day a week when you're not scheduled for a meeting. This can give you a free day to complete tasks and to stay productive. And they say this is also a way to increase your creativity. My fourth tip for you is to create a productive workspace. Regardless if you're working at home or in an office, it's important to create a space where you can feel productive. Productivity produces productivity. In other words, if you were productive in a particular space, your brain will want to be productive there again. You'll associate that place with the good feeling you had the last time you were able to crush it there at work. Likewise, if you have a certain space that you associate with entertainment, perhaps the living room in front of the TV, you'll want to do those fun things when you're there, so your brain won't click in and be as productive as it can be. It'll be more prone to letting in all of those distractions. If you want your workplace to promote work, keep it tidy. A cluttered or messy space will distract you. And even if you don't feel like you don't have to clean it up there, the disorganization will keep you from getting your tasks completed. Keep your workplace your workplace simple and easy to maintain and ensure that it has a door that you can shut so distractions can be left out there when necessary. My fifth tip for you here is that it can all work. It can't. It can't all work. It really just can't. While there's a few successful individuals who are truly all work and no play, most human beings aren't geared that way. Most people grow frustrated and unproductive when they force themselves to work consistently and enjoy very little. This is a system that is ultimately unsustainable. So when you're developing your system, think of it in a way that you want it to perpetuate itself. You want it to continue to build on your motivation so it becomes easier and easier, and eventually it can be an unconscious system that runs on itself and continues to keep you motivated. Play opens up a person for creativity and relieves us of our heavy workloads. Some workplaces like Google have built-in areas at work for play. These spaces are meant to foster creativity and relieve stress in the workplace. There are several things that an entrepreneur can do to combat the tendency to work all the time. Make work enjoyable. Find ways to make things you do at work pleasurable and exciting as opposed to the drudgery of work. Plan to have breaks throughout the day when you set aside work. Walk around the building, eat a good lunch, or take a coffee break. If you work from home, take your dog for a walk or take yourself for a walk. It may seem like these things are distractions on their own, but when coupled with more intense working sessions, they're more important relief. You'll be able to get back to your work refreshed and with a clearer mind. Choose a quitting time, a time that you'll be done with your work for the day. It's extremely important to actually set aside a time in the day to give attention to your family and to your friends. A time that you can close down the laptop, turn off the work phone. You are not being distracted by outside distractions because you can then focus all of your time on those who matter most, your friends, your family, your loved ones, your pets. Take a vacation when you can. Plan for certain times of the year to be non-work times. Set aside your phones, your emails, your messages, and focus on the things in life that matter the most to you. You don't necessarily need to leave to go on a vacation. You can enjoy staycations. You can enjoy just turning your mind off from all of that work stuff and focusing on your creative pursuits, your hobbies, your passions, sleeping in, reading better books, just turning your brain off from the hustle and bustle of work and turning it to more creative pursuits. It helps you de-stress. It helps your brain rewire, and it helps you come back more focused, more energized, and ready to be even more productive. Enjoy your relationships with others and make sure that you're having fun. You may never, ever be able to cut out all of your distractions, but limiting them can greatly enhance your chances of success. Reduce your social media. Limit your communication during certain times of the day and make time for play. And you'll soon see that your productive periods are a lot more productive and a lot more successful. The fourth pillar I want to give you today is to slay your dragons. The final pillar we'll be focusing on is prioritizing your workday. While it's easy to start the day with low-hanging fruit like email, the most productive entrepreneurs focus on getting their most important tasks done first. Experts always recommend that you slay your dragons or do your hardest task first thing in the morning. Mark Twain famously said, if it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if your job is to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first. In other words, tackle the hardest things before you do anything else. So, let's go back to it. What does the research say? In 2017, Harvard Business School released a working paper called Task Selection and Workload, a focus on completing everyday tasks hurts long-term performance. Whew! The study was meant to discover how starting with earlier tasks versus harder tasks might affect productivity. Easier tasks versus harder tasks. The study concluded that completing easier tasks does create a short-term sense of satisfaction, but it can negatively impact the long-term productivity. In other words, a short-term victory feels good at the moment. It makes a person feel productive when they're able to actually accomplish something and that check mark off their task list. However, because they're not pushing themselves to learn and to overcome the harder tasks, they're actually limiting their potential. And I know from experience, you can check off all the easy stuff on your list really nice and fast, but those big, harder tasks end up staying on your list for a lot longer, leaving you unproductive when you think you feel like you're getting stuff done because you're checking stuff off, but really you're not moving forward at all because the big, meaningful tasks are the ones that you're actively avoiding. So put that plan into action. Only you know what your most difficult or complicated tasks are, but do your best to take on those jobs first. Hit them first thing in the morning when you're at your strongest. Even if your difficult tasks don't take the longest amount of time, they're going to take the most amount of effort. As the day goes on, your ability to focus is going to diminish, as we've mentioned before. Your willpower is going to fall apart, and you're going to want to avoid your work and put it off until the next day. If you choose your hardest jobs first, you'll be able to finish up the day with your easiest work. That feeling of productivity from easy tasks will help propel you into the next day when you're ready to slay your dragons once again. Productivity is in your grasp, I promise you. It's not far away. If you follow the 4 pillars included in this workshop, you will find actionable ideas that can help you today. Start today. Go to bed early tonight. Get up early first thing in the morning. Start slaying your dragons. So to review, in case you haven't been paying attention, the first pillar is to develop a system that works for you, make it sustainable, and continue tweaking it for best results. Our second pillar is to wake up early in the morning, ready for the day. Get started while the rest of the world is still sleeping. Our third pillar is to cut out the countless distractions that prohibit your work instead of actually enhancing it and pushing you forward. Our fourth pillar is to overcome your most difficult tasks first. Afterwards, enjoy the fruits of your labor with an easier afternoon or evening. Getting started with these pillars of productivity today, I promise you, it will help you propel yourself forward. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, these are the skills that will help you push yourself, achieve your goals, achieve those things you've always wanted in your life, and live that life you've always wanted and you always have deserved. And because of that, you'll be able to reap the benefits of this greater success. Get started using these pillars of productivity today. And that's it for this. That's the training, my friends. That's the productive entrepreneur. Those are the secrets to getting stuff done. All right, everyone, I'm going to start signing off for today. But remember, you can hit me up on all of my social media platforms. I'm now on Twitter. Wow. So hit me up, tweet at me. Is that how it works? I'm so old. But I'd love to hear from you guys. Next week, we're going to be back with the Grateful Life course at 11 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday. But before that, you can always tune in, check me out. Same time on Fridays will be the Business Building Book Club, where we're going over .com secrets, learning how to build sales funnels, and using the internet in a new and exciting way to build our influence, get traffic, build sales, all of that fun stuff about online business. We'll go chapter by chapter, secret by secret in Russell Brunson's amazing book, .com Secrets. And you can get your own free copy. You can find all the links in the description box below. But until then, everyone, I will see you again soon. Hopefully I'll see you on Friday. If not, I'll see you maybe on the Monday morning show, maybe on next training next week, maybe on the podcast on Saturday. Who knows? But until then, my friends, remember that I love you. And be